Hey guys, welcome back and happy Thursday. So, you guys, it is rainy out here in LA, but I'm not really disappointed. I actually feel great today, amazingly, because I woke up in the middle of the night and then I stayed up for like maybe, I don't know how long, maybe like a half hour, then I fell back asleep. And then I woke up when my alarm went off because it was time for me to get up like at 6:15. And I'm like, oh no. So I went back to sleep. I had to get my rest, man. I'm like, fuck this shit. I had class at 9 o'clock. So I ended up, unfortunately, showing up to class like a half hour late. But thankfully, my professor, he's a little bit understanding. So it didn't really, I don't think it really impacted anything. But y'all, getting out here is a journey anyway. Coming from where I live in Inglewood, it's kind of a journey. And the rain, y'all, the rain is something else. Like I said, I'm not going to complain because I feel like we need the rain out here. In Southern California, being that it's so dry. And y'all notice, like, when I be doing my videos and I be like this is because my throat is dry. So I am praising God for the rain, even though I take public transportation. What? Well, if you get... Sorry, y'all. Get this text message. You can't come with me for... Okay. So I got invited to go to this comedy show tonight. I don't know. I may go. But... what was I saying? Oh, yeah. So y'all notice, like, I do my videos and, like, my throat, it be, like, dry because the air is so dry out here. The air quality is, like, super dry. So, I'm thankful that it rained today. I got a good amount of rain, and the air smells so fresh. It just feels fresh, and I feel great. Like I said, even though that I did wake up in the middle of the night, I went back to sleep, and I feel pretty good. My cold is like 95% gone, thankfully. And someone was like, oh, you hopefully, you better get over your cold because she's just had a cold and she's like, hers took like 2 weeks. I'm like, baby, not to brag, but my immune system is very strong. Thank God I have some really good genes, and thanks to my dad, like he's pretty healthy. He got great genes. And we don't usually go to the doctor. Like my dad, he don't really believe in going to the doctor. And he has like natural remedies, ways of healing himself. He's passed his genes on to me. So, yeah, your girl pretty healthy. So, it don't take me that long to get over a cold, thank God. So, I got the cold like Saturday, and it pretty much it was leaving my system like the same day. Like, I got a quick hot fever, which is, I thought was a good sign. Some people are like, oh, I got a fever, so I'm going to get some medicine. I'm like, hell no. I sat in that fever. I was hot. My body was hot as hell, but I looked at it as my body's way of burning out the cold from my body. The burning out the what they call it, the virus from my body, cleansing my body out. And I can feel it. It's like my body was an oven. Y'all, I was laying in my bed Saturday night because I actually caught the cold from one of my clients. She was just coughing and sneezing and blowing her nose the entire session on Saturday. So I'm like, I know I'm going to get it. There's no way I can avoid this being that was in an enclosed area. So, by the way, I'm going to get into the video in a minute. I'm just giving y'all some time. But, so, yeah, that night was pretty crazy. And I ended up just like, fuck it. I took off all my clothes. And I'm just like, it's hot. My body was so hot. I ended up getting back dressed, going down the street, and getting like 3 bottles of orange juice. And I was just taking it to the head. Because that's my remedy, how I deal with my colds. So I would just drink orange juice, and it works. It boosts my immune system. What's up, Rodrigo? It boosts my immune system, and I'm able to fight through it. And thank God. Like, I started to feel better Monday. Then Tuesday, it was pretty much gone. Wednesday, yesterday. Yeah. I can breathe. That was the biggest thing because I could not breathe. I had so much nasal congestion, and thank God it didn't reach my chest because that's the worst when it reaches your chest. So your girl good. I'm back in action. It's not lasting a full week like my coworker thought it would. She was like, hers was like 2 weeks. I'm like, hell nah. I rebuke that. It ain't happening. No, no, no. Because I got work to do. I can't afford to be sitting around here sick and out for the count. Like, nah. So your girl good. Thank God for the rain. And I want to do this video. I need to go ahead and do it because I see people looking in here like they're trying to get this study room. No, no, no. Don't come in my study room. I got to hurry up and do this, y'all, because these study rooms are reserved for, well, groups. Anybody can use it, but groups do get priority. So, anywho, I'm going to do this video. Yeah, I shared this post on my Facebook page, right, about this. It was a picture. No, was it a picture? Yeah, picture. It was a picture that this woman took. I don't know if she was a black woman. I don't know the race. I can't even remember. Could have been a black woman. But she took a picture, a couple of pictures of a broken iPhone. Her daughter's iPhone. Daughter is 16 years old. She then broke this girl iPhone because she would not give her mother the password. Oh, Lord. Hopefully I don't have to move, y'all. Hope they don't mess with my video. Let me just try to be quiet. So there you go. Okay. But she broke the girl's iPhone. 16-year-old. I'm like, just because she would not give her the password, right? And so I think when I shared the post on my Facebook page, I asked people to comment their thoughts. You know, what do you think about it, right? And y'all can feel free to comment your thoughts below here in this video, but I'm going to take the time in this video to share my perspective on it because so many people was commenting. I let them disagree. You know, they was like, I disagree. Or they're basically saying that they agree with the mother. Because I had made my comment, my statement to say that, and so I forget exact words I said, but I was like, this is just ridiculous. Like, there's no point in the mother doing all of that. Like, she did way too much. And I think that she was being very manipulative and controlling and basically saying it's bad parenting, basically. Because, I don't believe in that. I think that the mother could have taken a much different approach to managing that situation. And it's not going to fix anything. And I think that's the initial go-to for a lot of parents. It's like, oh, I'm going to take your phone, or I'm going to go to the other extreme to break someone's phone. Like, you're going to become violent. And you're going to teach your child violence is the answer to manipulate a situation. It's just like, what kind of parenting is this? And most people who commented on the post were like, oh yeah, she did a great job, or that's a good thing that she did, and I would have did the same thing, and kids need to stop being so grown and let their parents know what's going on with them. And parents, like, people came up with so many justifications for why the mother did the right thing, to say that, oh, we live in a very dangerous world out here. It's pedophiles out there that's, you know, trying to prey on these young girls. And it's important that parents monitor their children's devices to protect them, like a safety precaution. They just try to make it seem like it's just the right justification. Like, I'm like, nah. Yes, I get we live in an unsafe world. And even one of them parent was like, yeah, it's just like a mother would protect their child, you know, their younger child. Let's say if they're in preschool or elementary, you know, they would check their things and make sure that, you know, the child is safe, just as, you know, for protection and a safety precaution. So the same way that a mother would look after their child when they're that young is the same drive that a mother has to protect their 16-year-old daughter or son to want to check their phone. And I'm just like, nah, man, you can't say. I get, yes, I understand that it's a parent's responsibility to care and protect their child. That is their obligation. That's their responsibility. I mean, legally, by law, that's what they are mandated to do, to care and to protect their child. If you don't do that, then yeah, you're going to have some serious consequences. So I get that from a legal and a moral perspective, but there are ways to go about doing that. And I just feel like people, like parents, Now, granted, I know y'all gonna come after me because I don't have any kids, but I can speak from my experience as a child. You know, from my experience as a child, as a teenager, and as an adult, and knowing what's effective and what's not effective. And it is not effective parenting. Now, y'all, like I said, y'all can let me know what y'all think. But I'm going to tell y'all why I think this is not effective. That was not in the most effective way to manage that situation, because the child did not give up the password to her phone. The parent decided to break it, and not only that, but went to social media to brag about it and to make this post to let everybody in the world know, like, hey, this is what I did to my daughter's phone. And I'm just like, no, you're actually causing more harm. Now, I don't know the daughter's reaction to the phone being broken, but I only can imagine how the daughter would respond to something like that. Like, at 16 years old, this is the biggest issue I have with parents who want to overstep boundaries with their children when they are becoming adults. Yes, they're still children, but hello, they are becoming an adult. And in some minds of some parents, they're like, oh, I brought you into this world, I can take you out. They have that idea, and they feel like, oh, they own their children, they can do whatever to their children. And it's just like, no, your child is an individual. That's what parents don't get. Let them be an individual. Let them grow. They're going to learn lessons along the way. As a child grows older, your hold that you have on them is not going to be the same. When they were a little baby, a little infant, before they could even crawl, yes, you're going to have a really tight hold on them, right? You know, when they're like a newborn, you know, but even as they grow and become an infant, I mean, your hold, you're going to loosen that grip, you know, and of course, as they begin to walk and progress through the stages of development, and especially when they become teenagers, you're going to kind of loosen up that grip that you have on your children. You're not going to be sitting up there being a helicopter parent. That's not the most effective way to raise your child. And yes, this video is talking about that post that you guys saw. I know most people saw it, where this mother, she broke the child's iPhone because the 16-year-old daughter would not give the parent her password. And you have parents that say, oh, well, if I bought the phone, I paid for the phone, you best believe I'm going to have the password. It's like, no, a child needs their privacy. You as a parent should be the one to teach them about autonomy, about having your own privacy. And it can be difficult, I think, to kind of let go. I think that's the biggest thing for parents is letting go. Because they're like, how do I let go and still be able to protect? Like, how can I do both? How can I let go and protect my son or daughter in this difficult world that we live in, this very crazy world? It's dangerous. I'm not undermining the craziness that's out there in the world. We all know that exists. Do you feel the mother shouldn't have asked for the password? Okay, now in terms of asking for the password, my thing is why? Now, you have some parents that comment that say, oh, well, she asking for the password because she want to see, maybe it can be some predators out there, and maybe somebody tried to message her on the phone and you want to check the messages to make sure that she's not talking to a predator. But I'm like, this is the thing. This is why I say that approach was wrong, because I feel like there are different ways to skin a cat, right? So if the end goal is to protect the child from harm and to ensure the child's safety and care, if there's a trust built between the parent and the child, they have a strong, secure relationship, because this is what we're talking about, a secure relationship, it will be no need for that. It's just like no different from a husband and a wife. Why would a wife need to see or have access to the husband's cell phone? And vice versa. Why would a husband need to have access to his wife's cell phone? To have to know the password and all of that? No. That's a trust issue. Same thing. We're talking about relationships, intimate relationships involving family. You don't need that. If there is trust there between mother and child, where there's an open line of communication, and that child feels safe enough to go to the mother or father and talk to them about whatever. And I'm talking about whatever. Nothing is off limits. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Whether it's sex, sexuality, bullying, you name it, drugs. I don't care what the topic is. Nothing should be off limits for a child to be able to talk to their parent about. And that's where we have the issue, because children don't feel safe to be able to talk to their anything. And to me, that blows my mind. Yes, I understand that we're talking about generational differences. So yes, it may seem awkward from a child's perspective to talk to their parent, like thinking that the parent's not going to be able to understand them. You're not going to get where I'm coming from because I'm 16, maybe you're 35 or 40 or 50. So in the child's mind, that's that age difference that comes into play, and vice versa. But that's where the parent responsibility comes in. That's a parent's job to make that child feel safe, irrespective of any kind of age difference. And you do have reason why I'm such an advocate for this kind of relationship, this open communication, this trust between a parent and child, because I've seen examples of this, healthy examples where it is possible. And seeing this example of the total opposite, the end of the spectrum, where it's just totally unhealthy, man. And when a parent does that, it engenders hatred. The child becomes very angry towards, the parent for doing that. They become disgusted. I mean, you have to put yourself in a child's shoes. You would not want anyone impeding upon your privacy. So why do you think that that's the proper thing to do to a child just because, oh, that's my child, I had him? No. It's a reason why children hide things from their parents, but yet they go to people in the streets, strangers, people that's not even blood related to them, and they go and they tell them everything. I've seen it. I've worked with teenagers. I've worked with at-risk youth, and they will go and pour out their soul, even to me, or to a therapist, or to a counselor. I'm not blood related to these kids. But you will have a kid that will tell a counselor, their therapist, way more stuff than they tell their parent. And something is wrong with that picture. Something is wrong with that picture. And we're not talking, because I know a lot of y'all parents be like, well, I'm not here to be my child friend. We're not talking about being a child friend. As a therapist, I'm not my client's friend. But I do create a safe place for them to be able to talk to me about anything. Why? Because I am not here to judge them. And it's a way you have to show up in a room with this person who is coming to you, talking to you about the most deepest, darkest secret, the most sensitive thing, that they may feel uncomfortable talking about. It's a way you have to show up in the room, and it's not to be judgmental or to be all up on their back, and you wonder why they're shut off. You wonder why there's a disconnect. I mean, it's like rocket science, y'all. I mean, it's not like rocket science. It's very easy to comprehend. It's not rocket science. It's like, I think just naturally, because parents who are that way, who are overbearing, overprotective, helicopter parents, meaning that you're always over your child's shoulder, you all up in their iPhone. You need the password. You snatching their phone out their hand, and it's just like, it reminds me of an abusive relationship between a husband and a wife. Like, if it's not okay for a husband to treat his wife like that, why is it okay for a mother to treat, or a father to treat their daughter or son like that? No, you guys. But everybody on that post comment, oh, she did the right thing. Just so proud because that's how your ass was treated. And you feel like, oh, well, my mom did that to me, and that protected me, and I came out okay. No, you didn't, because you carrying on the same stuff. You treating your children how you were treated, and it's just a continuous cycle. It's no reason why kids, they grow this hatred towards their parents, you know? They begin to have this bitterness towards their parents because, and it's something that naturally happens. I mean, people just are human beings. When you're mistreated in a certain way, you're going to get a reaction. That's just cause and effect, man. It's going to elicit a certain kind of reaction out of your child, and they're going to hate you for it. Hate is a very strong word, but it's real, man. And I know within certain cultures, of course, children are taught you can't express certain emotions. But they will grow to hate you for that. And you wonder why. Well, why don't my kid talk to me? You know, why they acting like that towards me? Because look at your mean ass. The only representation that they have of you in their mind that they've internalized is this mean person. In your mind, you're saying, I'm doing it to protect them. This is my way of showing love to them. But in their mind, they're like, that's not love. A person knows what love is naturally. We know what love is. We know as human beings how we are supposed to be treated naturally. Nobody ain't got to tell us what love is. We know it. We know when something is not right. And when you get pushback from your teenager because you've taken their phone, or you crossing boundaries and going inside their book bag, come on now. That's like that. I think that was the exact example that parent gave on the post. She was like, the same way we check our little kid's book bag, and she mean little kid like, you know, like 6, 7 years old little kid, we would check their book bag, you know, make sure, see what homework they got. The same way we go inside their book bag is the same reason why we would check the teenager's iPhone to see what's. I'm like, nah, man, you cannot compare the two. We talking about two different developmental stages. You do not treat a 16-year-old the same way you treat a 6-year-old. There need to be some parenting workshops on this, because it's the reason why you have adults who have these underdeveloped egos, like they're big ass children. That's what parents end up creating. These oversized children. When I say oversized, meaning like, yeah, physically they're adults, but mentally and emotionally they're not there. And that's not what you want. You want a child, you want to create an adult who has a sense of autonomy, a sense of independence, confidence. And I think a lot of times, especially within African American culture, adults are lacking in confidence. They're lacking in security. They feel insecure. I mean, I as a therapist right now in training, I mean, you guys know I'm trained to become a psychologist, but I do therapy with adults and teenagers, and just hearing the things that people come to therapy to talk about, it's like, okay, you come to therapy for that? It makes it seem like it's not really significant, like clinically significant, considering what most people come to therapy for. Like, they really have some real serious psychological issues, but they come into therapy for things like, oh, well, my dad, he belittled me and he never really gave me praise. He always talked down on me. and told me, like, was so super harsh on them, essentially, to the point where they internalize those sayings, and it was no praise in the household. It was just all about criticism. You doing this, you never gonna be this, just negativity, man. No praise. And then as an adult, just imagine what that person is gonna be. They're sitting in my office and talking about they have these insecurity issues because of what happened to them in childhood, man. This is what adults have to face, men and women. And y'all want to sit here and say, oh, well, they, like, you, in your mind, you think you're doing the right thing as a parent. It's like, no, you're creating problems that people have to struggle and live with. They don't even feel like an adult. They're in an adult body, but they don't feel like that. They still feel like they have to answer to someone, and they outside your house. It's like, you think that you did the right thing, but no, you dropped the ball somewhere, man. And when I see parents respond the way they did, like, oh, she did, like, no, she did not do the right thing. That child is going to grow to resent her mother, and those feelings of resentment, they happen instantaneously. Because how can, like, a cell phone is like a symbol of, like, you're growing up, you're becoming independent, and for you to snatch that away because they don't want to give you the password is like a boundary. That's them protecting themselves. Why can't teenagers have a portion of their life that they feel like is sacred to them? Not to say that, okay, a teenager can't go and talk to the parent about things. Yes, they should, but I'm wondering, is it even natural? Is it even normal for a person, a human being, even a teenager, to tell their parent every single thing? Now, I say yes, most things, and anything should be up for grabs to talk about between parent and child, but I'm just saying, though, as a human being, come on. There are some things, even I'm sure as husband and wife, you don't tell your husband every freaking thing about your whole entire life. There's some things that only you, between you and God, that you keep to yourself as an individual. Yes, you are his wife. Yes, you are the husband. But come on. There are some things that you hold to yourself, and the same thing for parent and child. Yes, that is your child, but there are some things that that child should just be able to have to themselves. You don't have to know every goddamn thing. And the things that are really important, they're going to come to you. Like I said, I've seen healthy relationships, and you have kids that will go to their parent and talk to their parents about whatever. One example, and this is more like in popular news, so this is, I think, a great example because, most people do know this parent-child duo is Toya Wright and her daughter. Now, you guys know Lil Wayne, but I'm talking about his baby mama, Toya Wright. Just looking at their dynamic between the mother and the daughter, and I think the daughter, she may be grown by now. But even seeing her develop and grow up to become the woman that she has, they have a very open relationship. Now, whether she check her phone and she all up in hers, I don't know. But I can just see, I've seen it where she will go and talk to her mom about things. That's the kind of relationship that a parent and child should be able to have. Not that you got to know everything, because I'm sure some things that Reginae got to herself, keep to herself, but that's just one example, and I've seen positive dynamics between that mother and that child. But it doesn't work that way, y'all. I gotta keep track of time. Now, y'all can continue to comment. Let me know what y'all think, where y'all stand on this, how y'all relate to your children. But it's not good, man. And it's definitely not good to see, when you have an adult client who is struggling with feeling insecure because it's like, as adults, people have to realize, like, so much of who we are as adults was impacted by our upbringing. We try to just dismiss it and like, oh, that's nothing, and as adults we should take responsibility for our lives. Yes, we do. We have no choice but to take responsibility, but so much of who we are as adults was shaped by our upbringing, how we were raised, and our attachment to our caregivers. And if you have an insecure attachment as a child, you're going to have an insecure attachment with other people as an adult. That's just a given. You guys can go and do more research on attachment theory. I think the theorist's name is Bowlby. Google it. Attachment theory. But there are different attachment styles. Anxious, ambivalent, avoidant, secure. You want a secure attachment. And insecure. And what you see in a lot of parent-child relationships is this insecure type of relationship going on, man. Parents don't even trust the kids. Kids don't even want to be open to the parent. They don't have that openness that should be there. And yes, it's a catch-22. I ain't saying it's easy to let go and to say, you know what, I'm going to try to trust my child. And you want to create an environment where your child can come to you and talk to you about things and you listen. See, that's the biggest thing. A lot of parents don't know how to listen to this. They're so quick to, oh, no, don't do that. They just want to tell them, this is what you do. You don't do this. And I'm making another separate video. It's related to this topic, but I figure I'll make it a totally separate video because it reminds me of my supervisor. And it's just like, she has that approach and it's so annoying to me. What's up, Mark? But it's so annoying and I'm like, I'm counting down the days, the months that I have with her. Like, it's unfortunate, y'all. But I have to because I don't like her style of supervision. And it reminds me of like this overbearing, controlling parent that like won't let you breathe, like let you express your beliefs, your perspective. In terms of this type of relationship, it would be my theoretical approach, or my techniques and interventions that I'm working with my clients. Just like, oh, I said this, I'm the licensed one, this is what I say, this is how it should go. And I don't do well with that kind of relationship, whether it's professional or personal. Like, nah, man. But yeah, it's not effective. I'll make a separate video on that because it's related, but it deserves its own video. And so it also reminded me of, like, this is a funny example that I want to share with you guys, and I think maybe I have already, about when I was growing up. Now, I've shared with you guys that I grew up, of course, in a two-parent household. My mother and my father, married. And my mom, she was more authoritarian. She was a disciplinarian. She was very strict. My dad, he was more authoritative. I would say authoritative / permissive. So he did spoil me, but at the same time, he still know how to set boundaries. And like whatever my dad told me like to do, like I did. And I was able to talk to him about things. Me and my dad had conversations about sex. I remember me and my mom having no conversation about sex. But I was able to talk to my dad about that. Like, he the one introduced it to me. Like, he opened up the can of worms. And I'm like, okay. When I guess he felt it was appropriate, which I was around 16 years old. And he had a conversation with me about that, which I appreciate him for. But dialing it back from when I was in elementary school, I remember, like, my parents, they had this rule for me and my sister, because she was like 3 years older than me, and we were latchkey kids, meaning like my mom and dad, because they worked, when me and my sister came home from school, we would let ourselves in. So we had, keys to the house, and we would let ourselves into the house, and we were basically watching ourselves. And so it was straight back then. Now, nowadays, I don't know if kids can do that, but back then, I grew up in the 80s, we was good. And so my mom and dad had this rule where they used to like, no guests, don't bring no friends over if our parents were not home. So our parent, at least one or two of our parents had to be home in order for us to have friends over. But if the parents were not there, my mom and dad was not home, their rule was we cannot have company over. It's a very strict rule. And of course, I mean, me and my sister, we got friends, and our house was kind of like the hangout spot. But then again, we would also go to our friends' house. Like back in the day, friendships were just different than what they are now, you know. But yeah, we would, you know, we had fun back then, and it wasn't staying in the house all day. It was kind of like hanging out, riding bicycles together, you know, just doing different things out in the neighborhood. And we, me and my sister, we were something else. We went against my parents' rule, and we were some sneaky little kids. And so I remember this shit. I remember this because it was ass whooping that followed behind this. So one day, and it wasn't just one day. I mean, we did this kind of several times, but this is a time that we got caught. And so we had some friends over, and my parents had said that no, you know, of course we couldn't have any guests over, but we did. And kids are smart. I think sometimes parents think that they can outsmart kids, but sometimes kids sometimes are able to outsmart their parents. And so we basically would keep track of the time that our parents would get home. We knew what time our mom was expected to be home, the time our dad. It was like clockwork, right? And we had it all figured out. So in our mind, we figured, okay, we'll just make sure we get them out the house before our parents get home. And we had a front door and a back door. And the plan was to let our friends escape out the back door, right? But it was like the nick of time, y'all. Like, when I say like this close, if we just probably had 10 more seconds, then we would not have gotten caught. So I don't know how we had missed it though, because we was pretty good at this, right? But this time I think we were slipping. We had to been slipping. And the car pulled up in the driveway, and we like, what the hell? And so we sitting up here trying to hurry and open the back door, and there's like a lock that we had to freaking fiddle with to take the freaking pin out the sliding door and unlock the lock to the sliding doors. Like, I think it had like 2 locks on it, and it was just like, oh shit. And then the screen door, and then hearing the car pull up in the driveway, we sitting up here rushing trying to do that. And it's like, I don't know how many friends we had. I can't even remember. It could have been like 3 or 4 friends. So it's like 3 or 4 bodies we had to hurry and try to get out the back door. And we doing this, and I think they was out, but as our parents was coming inside the front door, we were like trying to shut the back. It's just, y'all, it didn't work out. It didn't work out. They ended up catching us. And like I said, my mom did not play the radio. So she tore our ass up. She tore our motherfucker. And when I say tore our ass up, like, I'm talking about old school slave style beatings. My mom did not play. It was like, take off all your clothes, like down south type style. Lay across the bed, naked, extension cord, cable cord. Like, she got up in our ass out there. That's how I remember it. You know, you can't forget no shit like that. But I say this in the context of this video to say that, granted, if we had been a little bit more careful, we wouldn't have gotten caught that time. You know, it was just that I think we were slipping. But my thing is this, and it's not to say that, oh, our parents should not have had that rule, but I'm saying that if parents have a degree of trust with their kids, certain things I think can be prevented, and there's a different way you can go about a situation. Whereas when there's this lack of trust and you have all of these rules and you want to be overprotective and you want to punish and have all these consequences. Not to say that consequences aren't important, because yes, they are, but it's a type of consequences. Like in the example in this video where this this parent broke the child's phone because she failed to surrender the password. And thinking about my story, with sneaking people in the house, I'm just saying that teenagers have their way around certain things. So you can say, I'm going to be this overbearing parent that's going to have all these rules and all these consequences and just be super strict. And if you got really smart kids, they will find a way. And that's not what you want. That defeats the whole purpose. If your goal is to ensure safety and to protect them, you don't want it to create the situation where they feel like they have to regain a sense of control, where you create this power struggle between you and you don't want to create a power struggle. Don't get into power struggles. You want to communicate to your kids verbally, non-verbally, in so many ways that you care. And in doing that, you just not in taking away their power. It's different ways, like I said, that you can do that. And so saying that you want their password is in a way disempowering them. Like, you're not giving them a sense of autonomy, which is important for a teenage child at that age. Important to their stage of development. That is important to their sense of identity at that stage of development. I mean, parents should know this. I mean, I don't know. Like, y'all forget when y'all were teens, and I think that's the reason why I think I make a great teen therapist. Like, I work very well with teenagers because I can put myself in their shoes, and I feel like I'm not too far removed from that. I mean, I'm 35 years old, but it's like being a teenager for me was like yesterday. Even though it was many years ago, it still feels very much like yesterday because there's so many vivid memories that I can recall because I've had that kind of challenge between me and my mom, growing up. It wasn't so much my dad, but it was definitely between me and my mom, who was very overprotective. And I'm just saying, teenagers will have their way. So you don't want to create this sneaky teenager that is like, okay. And they become sneaky not so because they're bad, it's just that they're smart. I mean, if you raise intelligent kids, intelligence breeds sneakiness, when it comes to them trying to maintain their sense of autonomy and independence as a teenager becoming an adult. Meanwhile, they're trying to follow your rules. So they're trying to juggle two things at once. They're trying to be themselves, but at the same time, they want to please you and keep your rules, right? Obey your rules. And it creates like this sneakiness, and of course people, they pathologize and they want to sit up here and add all these bad behavioral, conceptualizations of this kind of behavior to say, oh, well, it needs to be punished and all of that. Okay, yes, there's a place for discipline, but it's just different ways that we can go about doing that. You can create boundaries, you can create a safe place for your kids, and you can communicate a sense of safety and protection without overstepping their need to feel like an individual, their need for privacy. We all have a need for privacy. And privacy, I mean, in terms of privacy from you being into their business. And I think parents feel like they're entitled to know, but no, some things you're not entitled to know. And if you are, they will let you know. Because it's their right at the end of the day. And it bothers me, and it's kind of funny to see how parents, they go through this power struggle with their kids because you're not going to win. I mean, you're not. It's sad, though, that parents think that they can win to the point where they end up losing because their ass end up in jail. Like, our society is not made for that. It's not set up that way, on behalf of parents, to their defense. It's not. Like growing up, I guess when I was in the 80s, kind of, because, well, not really, because I think that's when Child Protective Services really started kicking. Because I remember my mom would say, oh, you can go, if you want to call the police on me if you want to, you can call them. And she was like, they're just going to beat your ass worse than I do. So my mom it's not that Child Protective Services wasn't existing, because it was. She just didn't care. She didn't care about that. And she threatened us so bad to the point where we was just scared to even. We were scared of CPS more than we was of our mom. But I mean, now I think it's really gotten worse, and they really don't play when it comes to child abuse. You know, and so I think children know that, and that's the reason why parents feel at a sense of loss. Like, what can they do when it comes to enforcing these rules? I was about to say laws, but it feels like laws towards kids, where they feel disempowered. They like, what can I do? You know, what can you do is create a healthy relationship between you and your child. Open communication, respect, man. Respect is number one. Respect that child as an individual. Listen to them. That's important. And ask yourself, why do you need their password? What are you trying to find out? It's just about, to me, I think it's really about the parents' sense of a lack of control, because they see that their child is getting older and they're trying to pull that child back in. It's just like that child is about to launch off into the world, and you feel some kind of way. You trying to just take back control over that child. And it's just like, nah, man. Because, like I say, kids will find a way. Smart kids will definitely find a way. And yes, if they may go out there and they make bad choices, they have to live with it. But it's no winning when it comes to that. You're not going to win that power struggle, because when kids are determined to, and y'all want to call it rebelliousness, but I don't really want to say it's rebelliousness. Because I was labeled, oh, you're just a rebel, you're a rebellious. No. Let a child be who they are. Let them be an individual. Stop making them feel like they're in this cage. Kids don't like that. I mean, especially teenagers at that point in their life. Let them learn the world. Let them. Y'all parents don't let kids do that. And really, children should be able to do that when they young, way much younger. Not when they reach teenage age, to be able to explore the world. Let them go out there and explore when they're toddlers, when they're crawling. Let them crawl. Let them fall down. Let them go out there and put things into their mouths. You know, of course, yeah, you have to have safeguards. I mean, I ain't saying to go out there and let them eat dirt or something like that, right? But just some parents, y'all just do it to the extreme, and y'all don't let y'all kids do absolutely nothing. And then guess what? Once those chains are off, and once they go out in the world, that's when they run completely wild. They wow the fuck out, because they don't know what the hell. That's their very first time feeling freedom. You don't want that. You don't want to create that illusion of freedom, like, oh, well, freedom means just go out there and do whatever. But that's in the child's mind, who has never had that opportunity to experience what it's like to be able to make their own decisions, to be able to just do what the fuck ever without the parent telling them, you can't do this, you can't do that, all up in their phone. For a person who never experienced that, when they finally do get a taste of it, when they turn 18, when they go off to college and your ass is not there next to them, they don't know how to act. You don't want to create that kind of teenager, that kind of adult. You don't want that. So, which means you're going to have to slowly, as they develop, and this starts early on, to build that trust with them, so that they can internalize a sense of safety and be able to make their own decisions. But if you're constantly always making the decisions for them and trying to protect them, how in the hell can they do it? They don't know, and they're gonna be the child that constantly stays dependent. They can't even make choices. They can't live freely. And I have clients that are like that, and they know why, because their parents was helicopter parents, and it's just like, I feel insecure, I feel inadequate. They don't even know how to be independent and go out there and soar and fly, because they always had this sheltered life. And it's crippling, it's debilitating, it's paralyzing. You don't want to paralyze your children like little infants and make them like little retards, for lack of a better word. You don't want to do that. Let them grow. Let them become butterflies. and that's up for you to shape them along the way and eventually open up your hand a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, a little bit more as they develop. And then when they are ready, they will go. Now, for me, when I was 18, my dad had a rule to all his kids. He was like, you turn 18, you got to get up out of here. And I thank him for that. I did not resent him for that because, if anything, I wanted to be grown. I think I wanted to be grown way before I was grown. But I think I was just ready for the world. I'm just like, I'm ready for this, And I really appreciate that because I learned how to be independent at a very young age. And even though I feel like I launched early. Some people don't launch there like in their mid-20s, and some people still living at home when they got their own parents in their 30s. But I left when I was 18. But my dad, my mom, they were still very supportive of me. My mom supported me financially, I think, through like my mid-20s. My dad, he was still supporting me like in and out, not like 100% financial support, but kind of like intermittently, if I fell on hard times, needed some money, I can call him. He'll, give me $300 here, $500 here. My dad bought me my first, was it my first? No, my second car. Yeah, and I think I was in my late 20s, I think. Yeah, he bought me a car, paid for it in full. So it's not to say you still can't be there in your child's life and still care for them and protect them and look after them, but let go of that grip, because that ain't what you want. Because trust and believe, when you create that kind of dynamic of a relationship and then very overbearing, overprotective, and they internalize that, they're going to go and seek out relationships that remind them of that. You don't want, let's say, a girl looking for a partner who is overprotective and who's abusive in that way. That's her internalized symbol of what love looks like, what protection looks like. That the person has to break their belongings to show that they care. If they don't surrender them or they don't let them see them, like, nah, you don't, because that's what's going to happen. They're going to internalize that. I can talk more about this, and I kind of have in one of my other videos I made on childhood beatings, and a lot of black people was like, oh, I grew up getting beatings, ain't nothing wrong with me, da da da. Black people, they try to push things under the rug, but for me, having greater insight in my life, because I study psychology, I study myself, and I'm very self-aware, I realize how those beatings have impacted my life, And although I've kind of twisted it in my own way of thinking to make it more adaptive for me, I guess, as an adult, I can see how my desire for, I talked to you guys about this, like BDSM and the spankings and stuff, originated from when I was much younger, but it's more in a healthy way because it's more in a confined or defined way in terms of a BDSM relationship. It's not that, okay, I am seeking out relationships with men who are abusive, because hell no, I cut that shit off because I know the difference. Although there is a fine line now, so that's something to be very careful about. But I've learned how to make it more adaptive in a healthy way, because yes, I mean, children, and that's facts, who are abused, and I know y'all don't see it as abused beatings, but it is. When you beat the hell as a child, yes, a lot of women grow up looking for that in terms of a relationship, thinking that that's what love looks like. Because my father, not saying my father beat me, I'm just saying, generally speaking, this is the rationale that adult kids will say, well, my parents beat me when I was a child. So that's what love looks like, because they love me. So I need, subconsciously, they go seek out partners who are like that, who are physically abusive, because in their mind they've internalized that's what love looks like. When hell no, that ain't what love. Especially you doing it out of anger and it's just uncontrolled and it's all over the place. That's not love. But hey, I do have to go. I'm just saying, y'all. Like, I ain't saying this to try to put nobody down, try to make myself seem like I got all the answers, because I don't. Like I say at the beginning of this video, I don't even have no goddamn kids. But I can speak from my own and personal experience as a child when I was growing up. Just pulling back from that experience as a teenager. Like I say, it's like as fresh as day. Those memories when I was a teenager, and I just felt so chained. Like, as more so as a child, because when I was a teenager, I especially like when I was around 16 years old, that age of the child in that photo, whose phone that was in the photo, I ended up living with my dad. And I had to because, child, let me tell you, I can't even tell you what that was going to look like staying with my mama. I got to take a sip on that. Because just the kind of person that I am, like, knowing me, who y'all see who I am today, just imagine a teenage version of this. Like, y'all see that I'm kind of a person with my own mind. Some people say I'm a rebel, but no, I'm a free thinker. I am a warrior. I'm a go-getter, you know. And just imagine at 16 years old, like, nobody could tell me shit. And I think it's a good thing. I mean, for kids who feel like, okay, I want to do it myself, let them figure it out. That's what they're supposed to do at that age. Y'all look at it like, oh, you think you grown, nobody can tell you nothing. Stop saying that. Let kids feel like that. Let them go out there and learn and make their mistakes. And again, they'll come back to you. A child gonna always come back to the base, right? The base is the home base always gonna be there, but you have to make that a safe base, because if you don't, they ain't gonna come back. It's the reason why some adult kids they don't want it. Like, fuck, why am I going home? For what? That's hell. No one wants to go to hell. So create that safe base. You got kids, they ain't gonna want to leave home if you make it too safe for them, you know. So you just have to be just the right amount of safe for them. They gonna always come back to the home base. Trust me, you gotta worry about that. If they go out there and they make their mistakes or whatever, and we all do, you can't prevent every single mistake, but you can minimize it by teaching them certain lessons, you know. And it's ways you can teach them lessons without making it so that they don't want to learn it. Because I'm sure, I can only imagine that teenagers, like, she hate her mother for that. Even though it's an act of love in the mother's eyes that she would break her child's cell phone because she don't want to give her the password. You communicating, it's a lot of messages you're sending by doing that non-verbally. It's so many messages that are being just out there, and the child just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You know, you don't want children to find safety out there in the world with people they don't even know, strangers they don't even know. Somebody go buy them a cell phone, and then that person buy the girl the cell phone and don't even ask for the password. Let's say it's a guy or a man that does it. And so look what happened. The intention for the mother to create safety for the child actually did the opposite. Where that child went out into the world, or even really got to go out to the world. The world can come to the child. Because you got people, vultures have a way of sniffing out vulnerability and can see that this child is hurt, right? By the loss of their cell phone. Now, people can say that's materialistic stuff still. That's that child's belonging that's broken now. She don't have it no more. And they can sniff out that a man will come in because she's 16 years old. You know how these little young girls look. Like they 25. And say, I'm going to buy you a cell phone, and don't even ask for the password. Now look, she done found her secure base. Now she going to be all up on him and not going to the mother. Do you see what I'm saying? It's ways we can do better as parents, y'all. But I do have to go. I want y'all to continue this conversation below, and I will catch you guys in the next video. A totally different topic, actually. I have a different topic in mind that I'm going to talk to you guys about. And I'll see you guys later, the next one. Love you guys. Bye.